Okay, so today, guys, we're going to be talking about the research project for this unit. Last unit, the research project was on a toxin of your choice. Okay, this unit, it's on a plant species of your choice. Okay, you can choose whatever plant you want. If you know nothing about plants, that's fine. This is your opportunity to learn something. Okay, you're like, I have no idea what plant to pick. Do a Google search for cool plants, okay, and pick something. Okay, something will come up. Right? There's all kinds of really funky looking plants out there, okay, that have some really neat adaptations. Okay, some really strange things, like some of them smell like decaying corpses because it attracts flies for pollination. Okay, some have, wicked spines that keep things from eating them. Some give you a horribly wicked itchy rash if you rub up against their leaves, okay, which is something that's designed to keep animals from eating them. Okay, anyone ever had poison oak? Okay, or poison ivy? It's not something that grows around here, but if you ever went down into the States, there's quite a few places where it is, and if you get it, it's like you get these raised welts up on your skin. Okay, they're very itchy and swollen and painful. Okay, can you imagine if you were a deer and you came along and ate those leaves, what it would do to your mouth? Okay, so there's lots of plants out there that have neat adaptations, okay, that you can use as a topic for this particular project. If you got a plant in mind, great. If you think the carrot is the coolest plant on earth, go for it. Okay, it makes never mind to me which plant you pick. Just be aware, it has to be a plant. All right, I have had a few people who have made the mistake of choosing a fungus. All right, is a fungus a plant? No, it doesn't carry out photosynthesis. It's a chemoheterotroph. Right? It consumes food in the same way we do. All right, so make sure you're not picking anything that is a fungus, okay, as that's really going to affect your mark because it's not photosynthetic and thus not a plant. Okay, keep that in mind. So in this project, you are to examine the growth patterns and adaptations of a plant of your choice. That should include a description of the plant's native environment. Okay, so that's one thing we want to have. Okay, describe the plant's native environments. Okay, and conditions it has to deal with. Maybe it's in a place where there's a long, harsh winter or a long, hot summer. Okay, who knows? Maybe there's flooding every year and it's underwater for part of the year. Whatever. Okay, there's always going to be something in an environment that's going to be a challenge that the plants will have to adapt to. Okay, and that'll lead to a detailed description of how your plant grows, adapts, and deals with those conditions. Look at any tropisms it may employ. Okay, we haven't talked about tropisms yet, but tropisms are growth patterns. Some plants are able to grow and change their shape around obstacles and other things. Bamboo is an example. You sometimes see bamboo kind of coiled, right? What they do is actually tie it to a stick, and it grows around the stick, and then they just take the stick away, and you've got this cool shaped bamboo, right? Stuff like that are tropisms. Yeah. The fact that all plants grow towards the sun is a tropism. Okay, and I showed you that with those plants there on the, those really need to be watered. That I don't turn the one so it only grows leaves on one side, but the other one, every time I water it, I turn it. Okay, so it grows all the way around. It's always got leaves facing the window. All right, so things like that. Okay, if your plant has any special adaptations that prevent it from being eaten, damaged, or just plain survive. So your plant has special adaptations. What are they? Okay, those would be good things to mention. All right, so you need to report on the structure of your plant. Is it a flowering plant? Is it a conifer? Okay, conifers are plants that have cones. Okay, so like pine trees, spruce trees, things like that. A moss, etc. What kind of a plant is it? Because there are actually lots of different kinds of plants. Is it grass or whatever? What are its specific needs in terms of light? Okay, so we should talk about what are its specific needs. Does it have to have really bright sunshine? Is it not tolerant of bright sunshine? If you've ever gone to the garden center, okay, almost every plant has got the little tag in it, okay, and if you pull that out, it shows, full sun or part shade or something like that that describes where should you plant this if you want your investment to live. Okay, and so if you don't do that, okay, if you plant a shade plant in the front yard where it gets nothing but hot sun all day, it isn't going to do very well. Right? So things like that are things to look for. Okay, so needs of light, water, soil, nutrients. Can it survive in rocks? Can it survive in sand? Does it need really specialized potting soil? What is it? Okay. Describe the conditions your plant must be able to survive. We kind of talked about that already. Okay. Use your knowledge of plant structure. Okay. Growth and development to illustrate how your plant species is unique and how it is adaptive. All right, so does it have a special arrangement of the veins in its leaves? All right, do something special with its phloem or xylem, special thing with its roots. What kind of root system does it have? Taproot, fibrous root. Okay, all those things we've talked about are things you should be looking up about this particular plant. Okay, in terms of growth and development and life cycle, okay, be specific. So we want to talk about, how long does it take for this plant to be considered mature? All right, is it an annual or a perennial? You guys know what that means? Okay, an annual is something that grows for 1 year and then dies. A perennial comes back every year. All right, so tomatoes are an annual, whereas like a juniper, okay, or an apple tree would be a perennial. Okay, they come back every year. All right, describe how it grows as a sapling or a sprout. Okay, does it look significantly different when it's a young plant as opposed to when it's a mature plant? Okay, and what conditions may be necessary for it to occur? Does it produce fruit? Is the fruit edible? Okay, is the fruit poisonous? Does it make you sick? Whatever. Okay, is it evergreen? Deciduous, which means it loses its leaves, okay, and how this affects its growth and development. For environmental influences, describe how the conditions in the plant's environment can affect its tissues. Are there parasitic organisms, okay, that attempt to infect it? Okay, how does it resist or fight off infections? Is fire, drought, freezing, etc. a concern? Okay, and how is your plant species adapted to survive or reproduce after such an event? Okay, like eucalyptus trees, they can be set on fire and they'll grow back. Okay, because they grow and live in an area where wildfires are very common, and they are often burnt, okay, in a wildfire, but they'll grow back. Okay, so again, adaptations to the environment they live in. Visual aids must have pictures. I don't care whether you're doing this in Google Docs or whether you're doing it on Google Slides. I want pictures. Okay, I don't want to be bored. I want to see pretty pictures, okay, when I'm reading through your project. Okay. If you got graphs and charts of growth studies of your plant, that's great. If it shows how much it grows in certain years or whatever, okay, that's fine too. Video clips in the Google Slides is fine if you can find them. Okay, if you got maybe someone took a stop motion, every day they took a picture of this plant over 2 years. They should really get a life, but maybe some people would do that. Okay, and so over the course of 2 years, there's every picture for every day. Okay, citing references. Was this the part a lot of people lost marks on the last time? It was. Okay, why did we lose marks the last time? Didn't do it properly. Didn't follow this format. Okay, we have to have the name of the author. Okay, so right here, this is how it's got to look. Name of the author, date the article was posted, name of the article, then the name of the website, then the URL, and the day you accessed it. April 1st, 2015, if it's something you found today. All right. Everyone follow? Okay, we got to make sure we do that right. That's 5 easy marks that people passed up the last time. Okay, I just don't want to see that happen again. All right. You should have at least 5 references for this. Okay, at least 5, and that includes pictures. If you use a picture, you got to cite the pictures too. All right. If you can't find the photographer, then you say photographer unknown instead of author unknown, but everything else should be the same. Okay. Planning. Again, that was the other place where people sacrificed marks big time on the toxin project. Okay, have some planning there. Just do it today. Make a thought web, make an outline, make a timeline. Okay, remember, I want 2 of those things. I want the timeline for sure. You must have that. When are you going to work on this, or when do you work on it? You can fill it in as you go, but you must hand in a timeline of your work. Okay. The second thing that I want is either the thought web or outline, whichever one you would prefer to make. All right, but those 2 things, okay, have to be included in this project for your 5 planning marks. Okay. All right, so you can do a PowerPoint or Google slide. Okay, you can do an essay. Okay, if you want. I wouldn't do a movie because you're doing this by yourself, and that's a ton of work. And I don't know if you're going to make an exciting movie about plants. I don't know. Okay. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Okay, project is going to require some work beyond the class periods. We get, I don't know why it says 3. That's a typo. Okay, 1,200 to 1,600 words. Okay, that's 2 pages, 12-point font, 1-inch margins, single spaced. Okay, That's going to be about 2,000 words. That does not include your references, okay? The actual project itself, okay? The part you create has got to be between 1,200 and 1,600 words, all right? Now, a note on this one. Because there's not a lot of that stuff like the societal stuff like there was in the last one where you had to do a lot of independent thought, this is more of a look up the information and tell me about it. Plagiarism is always a problem on this project, okay? If you are cutting and pasting somebody else's stuff, that's plagiarism. You're not learning anything, and I'll catch you. Okay? So please don't do it. All right? It's not going to help out anybody. It's going to make a lot of work for both of us because I'm going to have to go looking for it. Then you're going to have to do it over again. And yeah, it just generally sucks. So let's not do that. Okay? Remember we talked about how if they catch you doing that in university, you get, right, foot put to rear end, okay, and that's it for you. There's no money back on something like that. So, okay, make sure that we're not doing that. All right, the 5 marks, 5 places you'll be marked, same as the Toxin project. 5 marks for planning, 5 marks for your analysis and interpretation, 5 marks for your communication, 5 marks for your references, 5 marks for the overall impression your project makes when I'm going over it. Okay, make sure you use the spell checker. Okay, the grammar checker. Make sure it's not all one paragraph or, heaven forbid, one sentence. Okay, that's 1,500 words long. All right, let's try and avoid situations like that. All right, questions on what you got to do here? Okay, this one's quite a bit easier than the Toxin project because you don't, like I say, have to find, you know, that stuff on the societal part. This is just find out some cool stuff about the plant and tell me about it. Okay, that's what you got to do here. All right, the reason we're doing this, I want you to see that the stuff we've talked about in class does apply to some real world plants, but there's lots of differences. Okay, yes, there's kind of that phloem on the outside, xylem on the inside, general pattern to plants, but every plant's a little different because they all have to adapt to different environments. All right, due date for this, Friday, April 24th. Okay, that's like 3 weeks from now, right? But one of those weeks is the Easter break, right? So you'll have 2 school weeks for sure, okay, in which to have me look it over, review it, okay, all of that kind of stuff. Make sure you take advantage of that. Okay, questions? All right, I did not give you a handout for this. We talked about that yesterday. The handout is included in Google Classroom as a PDF document. If you want to look it over, it's this exact thing here that I was showing you on the board. All right, so if you need to look at that to remind yourself, there is a copy of it, digital, attached there as a PDF document. All right, and then there's a Google Slides and a Google Docs for you to use. Okay, you choose which one. Whichever one you don't use, please delete. Okay, it makes it a lot easier for me to figure out which one to mark, right, when only one comes in. So if you do it all in Google Docs, delete the Google Slides. If you do it all in Google Slides, delete the Google Doc. All right, if you use both, fine, put them both in. Okay, if some people like to do their planning on one and their actual project on the other, that's okay too. All right, have at her there, guys.